welcome again to my live stream as every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I'll be looking back and forth because I have different angles with the cameras. And yeah, just wanted to let you guys know, any questions you have, as always, you can ask and I'll try to help you out. I had a long weekend. I traveled to a fair, photography fair, analog only, and I was there to basically represent a few brands that I'm trying to work with. And I also was there as the official 11x14 photographer at the end of the event, so that was pretty fun. Also, I've just got that studio that I told you about, and starting to move in tomorrow, so I'll be posting some images of that. And Film Edition says he would like to see the RZ. I'm going to be making, I have it here, I just added the prism and the 140 macro lens, and these will be featured on a video soon. I'm actually doing my first photo shoot at the studio on Sunday or Saturday morning with the Pentax. So I'll be using the Pentax to change things a little bit. And then one day I'll compare the Pentax and the Mamiya RZ so you guys can see the difference but this thing together with the bellows and the prism is extra heavy. It has the Polaroid back here so you can see. But yeah, I'll make a video, more videos of that kind of stuff. I also got, at the photography fair, I got some, well, you'll see that on the other video. I got some Superior 200 as it's been discontinued, so I can make a video on it. I also got some Fuji C200, so you guys can compare, or I can compare, you guys can see the difference between the discontinued and the new option for cheap 200 film. And what else do I have? I got a zine from follower Bruno Candellas, who's from Portugal. Really nice, sent me a very nice letter and a zine. I haven't had much time to read it properly, but it's very nice. And yeah, basically that's what's been happening this week. Also, you guys heard about, as Tariq says, hi Tariq, horrified about Acros. I'm shooting that Acros film for the video just because I feel like I've never shot it enough. So I'm going to shoot some Pentax and Acros 100. If you guys haven't heard, Fujifilm is discontinuing Acros in sheet film. So 4x5 and 8x10. It was already really hard to find an 8x10 in the rest of the world except for Japan. And 4x5 was easy to find. It was extremely good film for the reciprocity failure was low, basically till 120 seconds. You didn't need to add any timing to your exposures. And also it had a fine grain, and it was like a T Max and a Delta film, but to me probably the best, not the classic grain, but the T grain film. Fujifilm said they would discontinue it 2019. I'm guessing, as they're saying it so much ahead of time, basically I would say they stocked film and they froze it, and they know what sales they have every month or at least every year, and they're expecting it to last till 2019. But I'm sure people are buying it in bulk right now, and we might run out of it earlier. Plus, prices tend to, go up when demand is high, and film sales, there's no more coming, like the FP, which I still have here. So yeah, if you guys want to try 4x5 Acros or 8x10, do it. Tariq says, I used to shoot Fuji SS before Acros, but Acros took it to a different level. It's true, Acros is really good. Antonio asks for a cheap point and shoot. Fast out of focus. I would say, to me, a point and shoot, you don't want to get the Contax, Contax T2, Contax T3, Contax G2, or G1 are extremely good point and shoot kind of cameras. I use this as a point and shoot. Just turn it on You focus with the back button here, and that's focused. And that's it. It's not so cheap, Antonio, but they are good cameras. Cheap point and shoot, you got the MJU, the Olympus, and then you have stuff like a few Nikons, the Fuji Classic and stuff like that, but they're not that cheap. I don't know. It's not easy to find cheap cameras at that price. Where do you see the resurgence of film? 35 medium format or large format? I think we all saw what Intrepid's been doing and how well, how well their 8x10 has been selling. I think no one sold so many 8x10s in such a small time. And I think there's a big resurgence in every format. There's a lot of 35 people. If you guys are not into Facebook, but you want to check it out, there's a Facebook group called Negative Feedback from the YouTube channel that has a lot of new people using film. And you see everyone shooting mostly 35 and 120 film. There's also a format that I think a lot of people are starting to get in. Sorry, I just have everything around here. Which is 645. So 645 is a format, people are jumping on it. But it's cheap. They're great cameras. This camera can be bought for like 150 bucks if you find it. Or 200 at the most with a 75, which is here. And it's a great option. So yeah, where are people getting back onto film? I would say a bit of everything. There's a lot of point and shoot people. There's a lot of medium format people. And some people are getting straight into large format because they're just trying to find a big gap. Meta Mike is a friend, doesn't like 645. So yeah, I also, as Victor says, I had the MJU 1 and it was actually very fun camera, also great results, and you can buy them for like 10-15 bucks too. So yeah, the MJU line they're great cameras to use. Apart from that, what else? I'm gonna see if I can compare the 645 to the 6x7 so you guys can see if there's that much of a difference in the size of film. I'm also going to be doing some videos on some Jobo equipment, which I have the brochure here, which is still producing stuff. A lot of people are concerned about what can work with what, and Jobo stuff, so you'll see a lot of Jobo videos soon. But yeah, at this fair, most people were shooting with medium format and 35. A lot of Leica cameras, a lot of Nikon cameras, but mostly 35. But I think it's because it's portable. People just walk around with it at the fair. Don't want to walk around with large format. But there's a lot of large format going out and around. Cheap cameras like Tariq is looking for forward for Jobo videos. I will have a lot of Jobo videos soon. Expand, what do you mean, MetaMike? Expand 2? Do you see a lot of those? Expand's being extremely popular. The people at Digital Rev, which now is split up and they're all over the place, made a video on the Expand a few years ago, and ever since the price has just gone up a few notches. I bought an Expand with a 45 and a 90 around 3 to 4 years ago for 1,200 euros. And nowadays you can't find an Expand with a 45 for less than 1,400. But yeah, so yeah, I've seen a lot of large format with the Intrepid, as I said. There's a lot of people starting off with Intrepid cameras that were scared to try it and didn't want to buy secondhand gear and have gotten into it. Intrepid is selling cameras at 250 pounds and people are getting into it. So yeah, I see a lot of different people. Like there's a lot of new people coming into 35. There's a lot of people that are going straight to medium format because they're affordable. And there's a lot of people jumping into a 4x5 because it's also affordable nowadays. Nico, what 4x5 camera feels like a Leica M in terms of build quality? If I have to say what feels like a Leica M, to me a Leica M is a camera that feels good in your hand, shoots well, and is like, it feels good. So I would say, as Mitch said, is Ebony. I would say Cinar feels really well made. they're in good state. And there's a few others there, like Arca Swiss probably feels really good in your hand. Probably a well built Deerdorf, and a few others. Emmett asking, I have a Leica M9, should I get the M10? I have no clue about Leica digital, so I can't tell you. I think the Leica M9 is a great, what do you say, compromise for quality and price, so I wouldn't change it. Especially not for just having a thinner camera, which is the biggest sell point for the M10. But yeah, 4x5 that feel like a Leica, Ebony, Arca Swiss, Linhof if they're new, and Sinar. Those are ones. Oscar saying Linhof Technica is what I would say for a 4x5 Leica. I've had Linhof brand new in a workshop I gave, and one of the students brought a Linhof that was brand new, and some of the movements were so precise that they would actually almost not move. Like for example, the front standard shift, it was hard to push because the grease inside the rail was thick and brand new. But yeah, I guess there's a few brands, but there's also, they say Lotus, Lotus, made in Austria, really well made. So I would say there's a few. Large format has a lot of different manufacturers and qualities. What's up to G Films? Just here. Wednesday being a fast week. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about large format cameras that feel like a Leica right now in terms of quality and like precise. And it was Ebony, Linhof, Sinar, Deerdorf, but ones that are well made, because the ones that are currently being made or trying to being like sold are not in the quality that they used to be. What 4x5? Where's the Chamonix shout out? In terms of Leica style, Chamonix, I wouldn't say is the Leica standard, but it is a great quality for the price. I think they're really well made, well priced to be new cameras. So that's why I wouldn't say it's the Leica of 4x5, but it is just under. What 4x5 would you say is the Olga in terms of quality? In quality and finishes, because the lens is what really gives you the quality of your shots. I would say well used. Yeah, I guess the travel wide's kind of plasticky. Yeah, it's the Zeiss Icon. Chamonix is the Zeiss Icon of large format. I think that's a good compromise there. No, it was film. Sorry, G Films. I lost it. Olga 4x5, I would say, yeah, the travel wide maybe. Also, you have like some Vistas that are all wobbly and don't lock. I've already known 2 users that own Vista cameras and say that they don't lock. So I guess you get like problems with your standards moving and things like that. And I guess there's a few brands, but they're mostly because they're used, not because they're not well made. What else? There's a few cheaper, I guess Graflex when they're well used. I've seen Linhofs that wobble all over the place. I think the biggest problem is that they're very, very used. George, Mike Padua. I haven't seen your second video, George. I'll watch it when I finish. Hi, Mike. I interviewed Mike for the channel and I'll be posting it soon. Mike, you gotta send me those pictures so I can post them on the blog entry. So try to send them to me. But yeah, large format, it's more about how used the camera is more than it's not working properly. You will find each camera has a little something you have to work around. Like some people in Chamonix don't like the front standard, that it can move it all in one movement. It's okay, Mike, just reminding you. Some people don't like that the back won't move in certain cameras. Some people don't like the focus on the front on some cameras. Some people won't like that you can't change the bellows, or they're too sturdy or too lightweight and they wobble. Some are not infrared proof. Some have like back standards that are not graph lock, so you can't attach like a medium format back. I mean, It depends. If you guys have any questions on large format, I'll help you out. Choose between models or different brands and different finishes and see if the quality is okay. Same thing with lenses. As there's a lot of people, let me see, who are getting into large format now, there's a lot of doubts of what lenses will cover what. This is a 120 Nikon super wide. This will cover 8x10, even though most people, like if you look at online, it'll say, but sometimes it says not to. Then like the lens boards, people have doubts on which ones. Then on Copal, how to screw them on and screw them off. And there's a lot of doubts. So if you guys ever have any doubts on large format, you can ask me. I'll be happy to help you. Like, let me see. This is a 360. This is a 120. You can see the size difference. This is what I shoot with my 11x14. This is what I shoot with my 8x10 and 4x5. This will cover more than 11x14. And actually I did the group shot with this lens the other day. And it works really well. 6.5 aperture, which is pretty wide for 11x14. Just so you guys can see the size, because it didn't look that big. This is how big it is compared to Contax G2. And nothing. So yeah, you guys have any doubts and I'll help you out. I'm gonna see if I get that series of videos on large format 101 so people can understand what kind of things they can do and where to find them. Also, this week we've had Macro Direct start selling secondhand gear on their store. So if you're in Europe and you're looking for secondhand gear that's being refurbished, they started now. They're not exactly the cheapest, but I think no store that sells secondhand with a warranty is the cheapest. And but yeah, that's a new option. Apart from that, if you guys have any questions, look, there's another lens that I have here that is pretty big. This is a 165 that will cover 11x14. And this, compared to this, is much bigger. So yeah, lots of lenses around here, if you guys are in doubt. Also, someone asked me the other day what would I think was a normal lens for medium format 6x7. If you guys are getting into 6x7, usually the normal lens is the diagonal of the format. And on 6x7 it's around 100 millimeters. So I recommended him, he wanted to do shots that were waist up, and I recommended him a 127, which is very cheap. And I think he'll have a big, like, long enough lens for what he wants to shoot. Marlon asks, hi Nico, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I got a question. I got a bestseller 4.5 MX. It came with dichroic 4.5. Any thoughts on that? I've never printed color, only black and white. Any advice? I started with Omega, a Chromega 4x5, which is pretty similar to yours. And it also had the color head. You can print black and white with a color head. There's actually in each paper box from Ilford, at least, you have like a table that will tell you what grade 0 is, or grade 1, and the 1.5, 2, 2.5. So all you have to do is change the filters and you can use it as a black and white head. I printed color before. I have a few shots around here. And color printing is fun. It's very rewarding, but it takes time. Paper is much cheaper. Chemistry is not that expensive either, but you could have to work with either no light or an orange light that's kind of far away. So you have to be careful. I actually worked with no light, so I wouldn't have to, you know, like be careful with how close it was or whatnot. But you should be able to do black and white color. There's not much paper left in RA4, which is the chemistry. And whatever paper you find will probably be mostly oriented to the hybrid system, like either scans being printed on a like an optical printer, but like, you know, like a digital printer or something like that, and you won't find the paper options to be the best. They used to have like matte paper, glossy paper, high contrast, low contrast. Nowadays there's like one paper, which is Fuji Crystal. Is cut in cut in sheets, and then you have Kodak making roll paper, which you have to cut yourself. So don't be scared to try it out, but you will need, there's a viewing filter set from Kodak that works really well. So what you do is you do your exposure with a grade of, you have to choose the filtration on the color head. And once you do that, you get the right exposure, you use that viewing filters, you check it out, and you see what you have to touch. If you have to like raise more one color, lower another color, and that will help you out. And they're cheap. Do you know any big, large format shutters, size 3 and up, that can go faster than 1/25th? Oscar is asking. I don't know of any. Copo's 125. I would say the fastest you can use is probably a Graflex. Graflex has the focal plane shutter that you can use up to 1/1000 of a second. So you can adapt that to the front and use that camera as a shutter and then expose on bigger film or on 4x5 film. That's what I would use for faster. It does 1/1000, 1/500, and 1/250th of a second on the Graflex. I have one somewhere around there. And also the CNR shutter, I don't know what the top speed is on that, but I think it probably isn't much faster than 1/60th or 1/25th. The CNR shutter is like a lens board and it has a shutter inside. So you can use shutterless lenses that have to go from the front to, basically from the shutter to the front. They can't go across because there's the shutter in the middle. Even though I did have a lens that had both elements that went on the sides. That was 210 super angle on. Oh, top speed, Camera Ventures is saying on the CNR shutter is 1/250th, which is pretty fast. So that's another option. But the CNR shutter will only mount on CNR cameras or certain cameras, but they kind of need to be modified. Even if they take, like a Chamonix takes CNR lens boards, but you have to buy an adapter to use the CNR shutter, and they're not easy to find. If you do find one, make sure you have the cable release because it's really hard to find without the cable on its own, or they are very expensive. So yeah, I think the compound and the other ones are slower than 1/25th. Chamonix. Apart from that, look, I'll go show. I'm gonna see if I get the shutter. This is the shutter. This is an old version, and this one will only go to 1/64th of a second. I don't know if you guys can see it there, but that will go only up to 1/64th. And basically what it will do is it'll, you see, it'll do that, so you can shoot. And that's what you do. You basically mount it on your camera, put your lens that goes in the front, and it has a long cable that goes in the screw, and you close it and you shoot. This is the way to shoot with your finger. And it recocks, which is awesome, so you can shoot all the time, continuously. This was made for studio photography mostly. It'll go to the studio. So yeah, you can use lenses without shutters on that, like the old vintage and brass lenses. Any other questions in large format or medium format, feel free. I still have to do the review on the 6x12. I had a bunch of light leaks on this 6x12, so hopefully I will develop another roll and see if it's still going wrong, and if not, I have to fix the light leaks here. But I'll have a video soon shooting a 6x12 handheld. I also made on the news a 6x14 camera. I might try to see if I can get my hands on a 3D printer and print myself a 6x14 and try it out. Hogarth has a 6x14 with 58. I might try to set my 72 XL on a 6x14 and shoot some of that. This one's a 6x12 with a 45 millimeter, so that's very wide. You know, you guys can see that there, 45. But yeah, you get 6 shots on 6x12 here. I'll try to shoot some slides. Another thing I've been hearing, and I don't know if it's true, is that Fuji is not making a slide film anymore. I don't know if it's true, I can't confirm, but that what they're doing is cutting master rolls to basically rolls 35 or 4x5 or 8x10 or 120 film. So as Hogarth is into Provia, I highly recommend you guys start stocking, because if it's true and we run out of slide film from Fuji, there's no other option yet. Ferrania still hasn't made their slide film, and I think it's going to take a little time for them to make it. And even when they do make it, we don't know what the quality will be like. So I recommend you guys start either buying it and storing it, or if you don't shoot it, just, no need for that. Hogarth, I know you use a lot of slide film. The person that told me this is pretty in there, so I would kind of believe that it could be true. Andres asks in Spanish, ¿Qué opinas de las cámaras vista de 4x5? Andres, can I answer in English or Spanish only? If not, write me an email. But the Vista 4x5, the field cameras are okay-ish. I can't say they're good or bad. I have heard that they kind of get very wobbly and they don't lock. Thank you, so English it is. And so I would say don't get a wooden one, and if you get it, try to make sure it works great, like it locks properly and it doesn't have a lot of movement in it. And if it's a Vista, like the Graflex, like the Linhof that they open and everything's inside, like the lens, you can even start with a lens and stuff like that, like the Graflex or the Linhof cameras. I have a friend that loves it, and he has the DX, I think, version, or VX. I made a video on the brochure that's on my YouTube channel, and they work great. It has triple extension, so you can do like the normal extension, then it has a second extension, it has the back extension, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it does, and they work well. I'm telling you, I have a friend here in Bilbao that shoots with one a lot, and he very much enjoys it and recommends it, so I think they're good. Also the Toyo, I think it's the VX, I'm getting all these numbers wrong, either the VX or another Toyo that's also foldable. They highly recommend it. I have a friend in Barcelona that shoots with one all the time, and they're cheap. They're like 300 bucks. I suggest if you're going for like a cheap 4x5 and you don't like the finish of like an Intrepid, which I haven't used myself, so I can't tell you if it's like well finished and well put together, but no one's selling them secondhand, so they must be, to check out something like that. Toyo, Graflex, or Vista, but the folding ones. I have a Horseman, they also work very well, the Horseman that fold. I guess they're called like press cameras. So yeah, contact prints in without an enlarger, light bulb, fixed grade paper, dark room or dark bathroom or wardrobe, and then you can use your phone to use red light. Hal from YouTube, nice to see you, Hal. I'm sorry with this setup, like I can't do live for a little bit. And yeah, just put the negatives on top, put a bit of like glass on top, and just give it a little bit of exposure. MetaMike, what do you think about the 3D printed large format cameras? The only 3D large format camera I have seen has been the Ghibellini. I what do I think? I think 3D printing is the future for many things. ES Photo says, hola, hola. But I think the material's still not strong enough. I don't know if I trust 3D printing on the long run. If I buy a large format camera, I'm looking for something that will last for a long time. I don't want something that will break in a year or 2 years, or if I put it through rain or salt or water, or I mean, rain and water are the same thing, snow, dust and stuff like that. And 3D printing, at least what I've seen, it might be different, I don't know. I've been wanting to test it out. Doesn't seem like the best material for a camera. I guess it makes it cheap, but cheap doesn't always mean good. And even though the Ghibellini looks well made, I don't know, I will see for a little bit. Perico de los Palotes, which is a friend from Barcelona, says anti-ARN glass, as you mean anti-Newton glass, for contact printing or scanning. Yeah, I use normal glass for contact prints, but they're just to go select and edit. But yeah, about 3D printing, I wouldn't put all my money into 3D printed camera, and even less a bigger camera, like an 8x10 or something. Like the dimensions and the plastic can warp depending on temperature, humidity, and other things. Also, plastic, as we all know, tends to get old and break, like old plastic cameras, handles, things like that we all have at home. Sun, the weather, and just time make plastic not last so long. So I'm gonna stick with wood cameras or metallic cameras. I have a CNR P2, I have a few Chamonix cameras, and a travel wide, but that was 40 bucks. So I'll keep that travel wide just for the fun of it. Markelix, have you used or have thought on RI lights, glasses, or night vision goggles for, infrared? I'm kind of tired, sorry guys. Infrared goggles for loading, unloading film into holders or into drums. I haven't used it myself. I'm pretty good with my hands, I have to say. I know some people are very clumsy or have sweaty hands or don't have a proper space and don't want to use like a dark room in the dark. But use infrared lights or glasses. They have like night vision lights, goggles, like the army stuff, and you can use it to unload and load film. I wouldn't say it's wrong. A lot of people do use them. I don't need them. And that 11x14 and 8x10 are like big and hard to put it in. But I do know a lab in Madrid that uses infrared lights to check that their film doesn't fall, because it's a dip and dunk. And sometimes when the dip comes up and it's moving, something goes wrong and it falls or something like that, and they just run inside and put it properly, and nothing happens. So unless you're shooting some high sensitive film to infrared light, which you have the graphic on the technical details, you should be fine. They've come pretty inexpensive on eBay and stuff like that, so you can test it out. I'm not gonna get into infrared lighting glasses for loading film unless I can't see. Oh, I don't even need to see if I think I need it. Oscar says the biggest problem is how porous 3D printed plastics are. Margelix, you have to paint them with multiple layers before they become light tight. So yeah, I remember that. That happened with a travel wide. Let me get the travel wide. This is the travel wide. This is what production came. Metamike lent me his too. I have another one there. Has a bunch of dust. This is mine. What happened is they 3D printed the camera, and what happened is it was not light proof, so light would go through and expose the film holder in the back. So basically this was not light tight. And when they made the proper mold and started making these cameras, now they're light tight. But that's happened to 3D. So yeah, also that's another concern, as Oscar pointed it out. is the fact that your camera can be printed 3D and won't be light tight. That also happened with a camera I found on Instagram that was made with like acrylic plastic, and it just looks see-through. So I don't know if you can do that. Actually, I saw someone make one out of like plastic that was red. And the good thing is they were doing collodion, and collodion's not sensitive to red light. So you could see the image exposing itself while you were shooting in daylight, which I thought was extremely fun. I wish one day I have the skills to make something like that. But yeah, 3D printed material also can be not light proof, so be careful. Thanks for pointing that out, Oscar. This is the cool thing about having you guys help you remind me of stuff I forgot. But yeah, Travel Wide is, I've heard they're making more. I can't confirm because they won't answer my emails. I think they're busy doing whatever they're doing. But yeah, Ben and Justin are really nice guys. I had a lot of conversations with them when they were making these and when they made it. And I was backer number 4, so I very much supported this project. I thought it was the coolest thing that you could have a 4x5 that you can handhold. And I started a project a year ago. It was my birthday, beginning of May. And I was gonna shoot this every day, and I made like that whole 365, which I've never done before. And what happened is I had to stop because I was way too productive. I was shooting around 14 sheets of film a day, and in 2 months I ran out of like 300 to 400 sheets of film, 4x5. So I had to stop basically because I didn't have the time to catch up. I still haven't even had the time to develop all those sheets. But I have to admit that I have a lot more shots that I think are worthy of being printed or edited into a little book, because I took my 4x5 everywhere. That made it so much more fun. As you know, 4x5 is usually tripod. This one actually has a tripod socket. I think I put it once on a tripod. And the fact that I had this with me at all times for 2 months, every single day, made me shoot pictures I would have never taken with any other 4x5. So yeah, you have like a big sheet of film for street photography, and that was extremely fun to do. And I will one day keep on shooting. I just have a backlog of this camera's negatives that I have to develop, and I have to see if I contact print or scan and make some kind of publication. I've never made anything onto paper, like a book, but I'm excited to make something out of this project. So yeah, as you guys saw before, this is the size difference between a 90 small lens and a 360. Actually, this is even nicer. 120 lens versus 90 lens. Big, small. Small circle, big circle. But yeah, if you guys ever want to have any information about the Travel Wide, I'll help you guys out. You like my strap, Meta Mike? This is shoelace. It's my straps for so many things. It works so well. It's the only thing that can go through the holes that come here. One was for the cable release, one was for the strap. Lightweight and fashionable. So yeah, this camera is so lightweight. Probably lighter than the contacts, yeah. What do you think about digital silver gelatin printing? As I told you guys, I'm more of a film guy. I'm not very up to date on what's the standard on digital, but I have seen a lot of expositions or expos from photographers that have original content printed in the 70s on silver paper, like analog silver paper or fiber-based silver prints or wet prints. And they usually have sometimes new versions of their shots or different shots that they hadn't put on their original exhibit that are next to them. And I can't tell the difference when they're well made. So I won't say I'm a big fan of that. I like the fact that every print, when you do it in the darkroom, is unique. That you made it with your hands. It took a lot of effort and time to make. that they're limited in the fact that, yeah, it's one of every time because you always dodge and burn differently. And the fact that a digital silver gelatin printing can be amazing. Your photography can speak for itself. You can sell for millions of dollars or millions of units. But that's what my point is. Something that can be reprinted in unlimited amounts, to me, loses its value. If I can make a poster that I made with a 12 by 20 camera and I scanned it, drum scanned it, and I printed it, and it's an amazing shot, but that shot can be printed as a poster for movie theaters or for posters at museums, and I can sell them by the thousands and the millions like units, that loses value, and I think it's not so genuine. I think that something about you making your own work with your hands and you know, the wet print and the whole how hard it is to get a proper wet print with no dust, with no you know, the paper doesn't curl or you fold it by accident. You have to spot it yourself. You have to do all these things, and it puts a little bit of yourself into it. It's like making sculptures. My grandfather was a sculptor. I have a bunch of art around here, and he made work on wood, and that every single piece was unique. And then he made some bronze ones that they would mold and repeat. And those bronze ones were always cheaper because he could order 100 more or 20 more or anything like that. But the wood ones were one of, and that's how I feel about digital printing versus hand printing. It's not even analog versus digital, it's handmade versus computer made. You know, like phones. Millions of phones versus a piece of art. So yeah, that's how I feel. Nothing against it, just not my kind of thing. Andres asked, have I seen the Silvestri T30? No, I have not seen it. I do have a friend that has a Silvestri 6x9. I don't know if that's the model. And I kind of want to see if I can get him to lend it to me to use it. It's Silvestri's like the Arca Swiss. They're fixed cameras that can either, you can rise. Sometimes I think it even has like side shift, but I don't know if you can actually do this. So they're like a technical camera. They have like I don't know if they had 4x5 backs, but they have like 6x9, 6x7 backs. Kind of like a Campbell wide or an Arca Swiss technical camera. But yeah, they're nice cameras. I think Silvestri with that name came from Italy. I don't know if they're still making them. It's like portable, yeah. It's like a little bit of a portable camera. It's a technical camera, usually for architecture and things like that. But I haven't seen them in person, and I haven't used them in person either. But they do look good. You have a few, I think I've seen them on eBay. Like the camera you have here, there. This one? Because this one has no movements. This is a cone, a helical, and a film back. But yeah. That'd be awesome if they made a Silvestri T30, something like this. The Cinar had a handy camera that had like a little grip on the bottom that came out so you could grip it. And it had like a little shutter. And that actually, I've never seen many of those, and I don't think they sell lots of them. Yeah, they're really expensive. That's the thing. $40, probably worth more, the film holder when they were brand new. So yeah. $40 and a film holder, and you're good to go. I got this lens for 80 bucks with a Chamonix lens board, which was worth 80 bucks. So basically this whole camera setup was around $40 to $50, and I'm never gonna sell it. These nowadays on eBay are reaching like $300 to $400 for the travel wide. So you guys might be lucky and get one for like 100 or 200. Their target price point, I think, was $120 to $150, and I hope they make them again, and people can buy them because they're fun. It's basically the same concept as this, just cheap and heavy and expensive. F Montage says, do you know why in all online stores across Europe 120 roll costs less than 135? Actually a lot less, €2 difference in some cases. I actually don't know. I can't tell you why. I bought some, I ran out of 35. So I bought some 35 Ilford HP5, and it is more expensive than its counter 120. Why would this be more expensive? I would say either it's the fact that it has the canister, that there's more shots per roll. But in the US, there's not that much of a big difference. Like HP5 and 120 used to be $3.99, and this used to be like $4.75 in dollars. So there was like 75 cents a difference. Actually, the whole market in film and different countries is such a mystery. I'll never understand why this is more expensive in Spain or UK than in the States when they make it in the UK. I'll never understand why paper in Ilford is the same thing. It's more expensive in Europe or England than in the US. I wonder if Brexit will affect that and it'll make it more expensive everywhere. I just realized this will expire January 2021, which is actually really nice. Didn't know they made film so far ahead with expire date. I never checked that. But yeah, let's see when the Superia is expiring. Actually expired. Look at that. May 17. So this just expired this month. Today would be the last day of it. So I guess I'll do an expired film video. But yeah, that's a mystery of the market, as you say. Also in Japan, for example, Kodak priced their film to a price that no one can actually afford, and now people are not buying. Oh, sorry guys, I messed something up. No one's buying Kodak in the Japan anymore. I think Ilford also bumped the price up, and I've seen the prices of Ilford go up in Europe and the UK and the US. It's gone up from €4 to $4.70 for the 120 film. And I just hope they don't keep on putting it up at that price, at that level of price every year, because it'll just be too expensive. Bulk film is the solution, says MetaMike. I bulk load a lot, but I've actually run out of canisters. So I need to develop so I can reload and shoot more. But yeah, bulk film, not in Europe, is the solution, mostly in the US. That's another one. A can of bulk film HP5 used to be 50 bucks, and in Europe it's like 75 euros. So another thing with price differences that I can't explain. I actually find 4x5 to be more affordable. You can shoot FOMA, which is pretty decent on 4x5, and it's like 75 cents per shot. So that's pretty cheap and fun. Bulk Fomapan is the cheapest option by far. I still haven't tried Fomapan in roll film. I've only shot large format. But I'm curious, do you guys find that Fomapan stands like it does well against like Ilford or Kodak or not? I've heard I shoot 400 speed, push to 1635, and I'm curious to see if Fomapan 400 would work well at 1600. But yeah, and if you guys do, let me know what chemicals and how do you develop it so I can test it out myself. But I will get some Fomapan bulk film and test it out. And print, because I found that when you push film and you scan, it looks quite a bit worse. And if you develop it on paper, it looks so much better. Buy Film Canada says, I haven't used Fomapan, but it gets such wide variety of reviews. And Lightbox says it's different, not better, worse. And Montage says 135 FOMA is quite cheap, but each lot is really different from another. Need to retest each one. I've heard people who hate it, but many love it. So yeah, I guess I'll try myself. I'll get a can of Fomapan 400 and I'll try different pushing it to 1600, which is what I do, and I'll develop it with different maybe dilutions from HC 110 and see what I get from it. and I'll share with you. I'm gonna have a pretty big, not pretty big, but a few weeks at least of no darkroom, from moving my darkroom from where it is now to the new space. I will be making videos about the new space. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to record how the space looks today and what I'm planning on doing, so you guys can see the step-by-step of my studio darkroom setup. Everyone says Fomapan. This is Thien. Fomapan is the same with Arista. I haven't tried Fomapan, but Arista 400 has quite rough grain. Yeah, Freestyle in the States rebrand Foma, and then Arista EDU as educational film is Fomapan, and that's been, I wouldn't say proven, but I've seen pictures of Fomapan's factory, and it's, yeah, Arista Edu. It's basically the same film, so no mystery there. Foma to stop pushing is bad, says Perico. This was all pushed to 1600 and it's 400 Fomapan. So, and this worked really well in contact prints. It did have some grain when I scanned it, but I'm gonna see if I can enlarge a few of this in sheet film. But you do enlarge much less. And also scanning doesn't make it justice, even with Ilford. Montage says, maybe the fact that their production is so unstable is the reason for there's lots of different opinions. Yeah, I'm guessing. That's the thing I've heard about Foma, is they're not very constant. But I've been using sheet film and I've had good results always. It is true the emulsion is pretty soft. So if you guys don't like that soft emulsion which can peel off with your nail or anything like that, it's not very good. But once it's dry, it's fine. Andres asks, what about Foma paper? I use Foma Brom 111 with Dectol, and for me it's okay. And Perico says, in 4x5 I do 400 to 800 with Dectol and it's not bad, but 35 and 120 bad. About the paper, I've heard Foma paper is pretty good. It's pretty decent. The warm tone, I've seen it and it's a little too warm for my taste. But I've heard it's a very decent paper for the price point. And that's what Perico says. 4x5, I do it at 1600 and I still have to enlarge it properly. I've only done contact prints and it looks good. And 35 and 120, I don't know. We'll see. I'll test it out. I'll see if I can get my hands on some. I'm gonna buy some film for my new studio soon, so I'll get some of that. But yeah, guys, it's around 10, which has been an hour. Sorry for that finger. Yeah, it's been an hour. So I'm gonna cut it here. Thanks again for joining me and asking questions. As always, send me any questions you have or you want to see featured here to either my Instagram, which you guys are watching now, and if not, I'll leave the link below, or on YouTube, or through email, whatever. And this will also be posted, as always, on my website, which is nikosphotography.show.com. But yeah, thanks again, good night, and hopefully I'll upload a video tomorrow or something that I've been working on, and that interview with Mike. I have a few things going on that I hope to be able to post soon. So yeah, thanks, good night, and see you next week.